Hello, welcome to the Louise Jannetta YouTube channel. I've just had these really lovely ideas and I wanted to share them with you. It's very much about textures. So I've got these really lovely things that I've found and it's using textures to create some sort of mark making. It's a way of painting and it's development on from the previous video, which was using botanicals and other things to do the same thing, and I realised there's a massive potential for all this lot. So I've done those. They'd been drying with the board under it. They're just little bits of tape. I'll show you how I did it. But see the lovely mark making that they make. And then this one is the same sort of thing. If you like it, please remember to like and subscribe. And also, if you would please reference me if you use the ideas in your own videos. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoy it. So I've mixed up some colours. I've just mixed acrylic paints with water, and I've got lids for them all so I can keep them, and I put a drop or two of flow medium in with it just so that it moves nicely and also so it dissolves nicely. And then I've got these colours for what I want to do. There is a video where I show how to mix these. In the other video I add an acrylic medium, but it doesn't need it here. You only need the acrylic medium depending on the substrate you're using. Like if it is a sealed canvas with a gesso, a normal acrylic gesso, you will need some acrylic medium in at some point to seal this to the canvas. And I've been doing these pieces of paper and just looking at how one can get the paint to sit, a sort of new way of painting really, because you get these really beautiful effects. I've lost can't seem to find my actual lovely grass one, I'm afraid, but I'll put an image of it because there'll be one from the previous video. There was a video I've shown you how to do all these. I thought it was fascinating how this works, and I have done something similar to this in the long distance past. And it's not too dissimilar from the way that you paint with cling film. You know, you put cling film on and you put colour underneath it and let it dry. It's similar to that. So I got some little boards and I stretched through 240 gram paper on it, just cartridge paper. I've then got a load of things that I'm going to try out. That is just some velvet ribbon with some patterning on it. This is an actual bottom of a top that I cut up. See what happens with that. It'll be interesting to see what happens. This is just wrapping paper. That was again a top I found at a car boot. It's just a sort of funny sort of lace. This was a runner off a table, and this you can get from florists. This and this lovely stuff. It's not the pink stuff. And that lovely stuff. There's also, I had braids left over from my upholstery, so I'll see how that works. So you begin just with a wet piece of paper. Sorry about that noise. Then you get your length of braid. I mean, you could do this so that you put it round a piece of paper, you know, for journaling. But I'm just seeing what happens with it. It's got glue on it, so it won't sort of be malleable. Possibly might not lie flat, whereas something that doesn't have glue on, which is this one, which is more cottony, lovely piece of braid. I shall try seeing what that's like. I mean, both sides would be nice. And the trick with this is don't be impatient. Let it dry on the piece, otherwise you'll never know quite what it's going to do. And what I would do is paint it first. I think I'm going to douse this with paint and just see what happens. So I've wet it first, then I'm dousing it with paint, and this is just the acrylic that's been diluted. Sorry about the traffic. I might be able to get rid of it when I come to editing the video. I'm putting a bit of colour on just because I love colour, but it might be simpler just to try it out with one colour. I have no idea what this is going to be like. There's a lovely dark blue there, but again I think although you want enough pigment on it for it to actually work, I don't think it really matters. It's going to go grey with all that colour on there. Right, so that's one. You can see there's a lot of pigment on it and it's gone right through. So lay it down and press it down so it sticks down. And it's just no idea what it's going to be like. I mean, you lift it up now, it's like so. Let's see what happens with it. Let's see what happens with the next one. Of course, what's the problem with this is that it's extremely absorbent. Maybe I should have wet it first. It's extremely absorbent, isn't it? The piece of braid itself, because it's all cotton. It might be better with a more sort of plasticky type thing. We'll see, because these are all, well, this one is more a natural fibre, isn't it? And then, like, I want that on the background. And then I want to touch something contrasting. I'm going to go for a dark blue just onto the tops and see what happens. Oh, that's going to go very, very purple. Let's see what's gone through. Let's see. For the next one, I really fancy doing this lace. So I'm just going to cut, some of it out just to see how it does. Rubbish scissors. So this lace was from the bottom of something, and I'm just going to cut it following the pattern and then place it down on the piece of paper and put the paints on. So there we go, I've cut it out. I've got another piece of my papers, just 240 gram watercolour paper. No, not watercolour paper, cartridge paper, and we'll just see what this one does. So it's pretty much stuck down. I don't know, again, maybe, because if I go and, let's see what happens. If I put paint on at this point, I don't really want it to go, I don't want to put it on underneath the holes. That water's filthy. Get some clean water. I mean, I really like the sort of greys that's creating. So I've put, I forgot to press record, but I've sprayed the paper, stretch paper, 240 gram cartridge paper, laid the cutout fabric down onto it, and now this is very watered down pigment, but I suspect that this is almost like dirty water. I suspect that the pigment won't be enough, that in fact the fabric itself soaks up so much of the pigment that it can't even get through to the paper. So I've done a very light pigment that end just to try it out. Do you know what I mean? And I put more up this end and it hadn't filmed. I'm terribly sorry. And you can see what's happening is that the pigment's hardly going through to the other side, especially when it's first put on, because the cotton is absorbing so much of it. So I don't know how much of the last thing one was recorded. I've added a lot of pigment this end and not so much this end, and then we'll see, like, obviously it's nothing at this point. We'll see what happens. If it bleeds off the edges and you don't like it, you can pick it up. If it does, doesn't matter. I think this will make really lovely papers for journaling. It'll be interesting to see how this works. You can see that the pigment is now pushing into the holes. You can actually take that out so that the holes remain fairly clean. But it's up to you. See, these are really clean where the cotton has absorbed all the pigment. And again, I think this is just a piece that was left over from a shirt that I cut up because I didn't like the style of it. It was too long. And I've added much more pigment at this end, and this is very diluted pigment to see what happens, to see if in fact the cotton absorbs all the pigment. So again, it's got to be left to dry. And then another piece of stretched paper, 240 grams cartridge paper. I showed you the one in the previous one that was netting. This is something you get from florists, I think it's just called Spider's Web or something. I can't remember. But it'll be interesting to see again how it works. The netting, so you wet the paper first. The netting I did last time was perfect for some reason. So that's really nice. That you know you could use it. What happened was, see the inks, the pigments gather around the plastics, and it works really nicely. But that looks like it's going to be really nice. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? It's a shame it's not necessarily sticking down onto the piece of paper because it's plastic itself. Yeah, I wonder if perhaps I should have stretched it across. Yeah, with some tape. This is just a gum strip which you use to stretch paper with. So I'm just quickly gonna wet it and get the end of it and stick it down. And then same with this side, stretch it across, and I might get it to actually touch down on a piece of paper. Gum strip you make very wet, much wetter than you think. And presumably it's not going to stick down until it's dry. So I'll just pull it across and then try and be gentle with it. But I really want some of it to lie flat onto it so that you actually get the tracery coming through. I think as it dries out and the paper stretches, the tracery will sit down on the paper. The grey's hardly there anymore, but I do like the grey. The green was nice. The tracery isn't sitting down on the paper enough, is it? Maybe it needed a bit more water on it. It needs to be pretty saturated, that one. It's just a florist thing. So I suppose they wrap the bouquets up with it. Florists have really loads of really nice things, by the way. There, you see the pigment's getting really caught underneath it there and making it stick to it. And presumably what you could do is one layer and then do another layer as you go on. So that's gorgeous. This is another beautiful thing from a florist's. Again, very plastic. So that's one. Let's see, I want another bit. And there's my gold one. And then it's quite nice to see what happens in between the shapes. I should really be more adventurous with colour, just so that you can see it as well. Here's a pink one. Some yellow in with that. Let's get an orange one together. And it's up to you how much pigment you want to put on these. But you see, it does do this, it'll just gather in these gorgeous areas. Let's try a dark blue through here. Just gonna join them a bit together just to see what happens. Get a pink to the bottom. Oh, I mean, that's looking lovely there. I think I want a bit more pigment in this, although I like that whitey bit there with a very grey thing to it. Oh, I mean, they look fabulous. They're just from florists as well. I'll try and find out what they are actually called and put it in the link below. So that's another one, and just leave it to dry and see what happens. I ran out of the boards I'd stretched. Well, I didn't, but I want to keep the last one for something I want to do. So this is acrylic painting paper. So wet it, and I've got this lovely stuff that was a shirt, and again it's got textures on it. So again, I'm going to wet it onto there so it sticks down, and then add the pigment. I'm going to do grey because I'd like grey, but of course you can do anything, can't you? That's very green in that grey. And you can see again it seeps up the pigment, but it's how it dries on the paper that I'm curious about. So I'll paint all that over with this very diluted acrylic paint and just see what happens. I'll spray it with water once it's painted, and again it makes the colour sort of mishmash into itself when you spray it over. It's not quite so solid. And this is the first time I've done these, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. I'm not quite sure how the paint will behave in these, so it's all just a matter of experimentation. Let's see the last of my now very dirty yellow. And it's difficult to tell because of the pink of these things. I wonder if you wanted to, you know, if you put a very bright pink, you could sort of edge it. So, you know, you could possibly really control this. Right, I'm going to spray it all and sort of let the colours run through. It is actually looking pretty interesting. I'm going to put an edge of dark blue around some of them just to see what happens with a pigment that's very strong. Say you wanted to do poppies or something like that, you could perhaps really control this and really edge it with interesting colours. Just got a bit of orange here. Gonna edge that with orange, put it through and see what happens. I don't really want it to bleed over so much, so I've just taken some off. I want it to stay inside there really. Yeah, that looks lovely. Well, I'm gonna leave it like that, see what happens. It's tempting to put more colour on, but I think there's probably enough on there. But again, it's this thing where we get stuck with substrates, don't we? We say, oh, well, it's just watercolour, or it's canvas, or... I don't understand all that. Why haven't we progressed a little further than that? Accepted more possibilities? And I suspect it's something to do with the purism of the art world and the attitudes of purist dealers, but I don't know. Oh, I mean, that looks amazing. So we'll see what happens there. That's got very strong pigment in it. There's probably ways to do and not to do this, but for now we'll try that. I fancy doing some with just this paper that comes to wrap things with. The only thing is it's paper. It'll absorb a lot of the pigment itself, just like the cotton does, but I mean, that looks like it's going to be nice. For a start, it's sitting down nicely, and it does lots of nice stretching and so on. Right, I'm opening it out. Oh yeah, that looks like it's going to be lovely. You could even rip it so that there was holes in it. And some you can leave open, some you can leave closed. Although I suspect the open bits are more interesting. And you can cover the whole piece of paper or not, depending on what you want to do. And then, I mean, I reckon perhaps spraying the colour on would be better for this one, rather than trying to paint it. Because when you apply paint with a brush, it's just going to move everything, isn't it? I'm getting carried away because I like the actual paper. I want the paper to be useful, but I don't know. I should just get on with it, really. Okay, right, let's get some colour on there. And again, I'm going to go for grey. Yeah, you see, look, the papers absorb it, and then in between the papers are cleared, aren't they? Even when it fills in the gaps between the holes, because it's, there's more pigment there, even then, it's going to, I think it's going to be more intense where the paper is than where it isn't. It has both a beautiful, beautiful effect, and it's extremely easy. A win-win. Oh, well, this is going to catch on. I love the way it does, it sort of collects on the edges of it as well. On a space like this, so you go across like that, where it's more intense on the edges, isn't it? Well, that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. It's just some dark blue. Now let's just sew it. Okay, let's see what happens to that. I mean, it does look absolutely lovely so far. It's a bit too intense, but we'll see, because there's enough water in there for interest's sake. I'm just going to see what happens if you just pull areas out like so. No, it covers it up too much. It's too solid, the colour. That's nicer. Just when you just take out the solidity of it, the intensity of it. There you go, there's another one. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 experiments lying on the floor drying, and the sixth one with the braid is underneath a weight and on a board over there. Ah, so now the really good bit, the reveal, and aren't they beautiful in themselves? It's just fabric. And look, when you lift them off, I think you possibly have to lift it off before it gets too dry because it gets stuck to the paper. But if you were using a canvas, it wouldn't get stuck so much. And I mean, even the colours on the actual fabrics themselves turn out so beautiful, don't they? But look, isn't that lovely? That's one. That was just a piece of lace. Well, it's a piece of embroidered Anglaise cut off the bottom of a shirt that I got, that I shortened because I didn't like it. Here's the selection of things from a florist's, and this is sort of, I taped that down in order to stretch it. But look, aren't they lovely? And then this one, and again this stuck down a bit, but they're so nice. The silver's come off of it there, so the silver paint of it's come off of it, and the different mark making is so good. I will make some amazing papers. We are going to have so much fun with this. Look at that, that's amazing. This I will, it's from a florist's. I will try and find a link so that you can buy it yourselves. It was from a florist supplies. I was interested in sort of organic-y, no, not organic-y, but unusual textures. But that is really beautiful. There's a clearer view of the ribbons. So the top one was the thick one, and that's velvet, and it's got some marks in, but the marks haven't really come out of it. I should imagine it needs to be more, but imagine what something like a lace would be like. And there is just a piece of gimp, and it has this lovely patterning, but you could use it around the edges of some sort of journaling book or journaling pages. And that was just a little bit, again, of gimp that I had because I used to do upholstery. And he makes these lovely, strange little marks. And again, I think I can't stress enough, you see the acrylic bonding agent is a glue in itself, isn't it? Because we use the acrylic binder or the acrylic medium as a glue. So these have probably got to be done when they're still wet. So this was just the lovely wrapping paper. It's just paper. It's just, I mean, I did one with a piece of netting before, nylon netting, and that worked really well, but isn't that beautiful? And of course this stuff is lovely as well, but that as a mark making thing, nobody would know how you'd done it, would they? Haha, they do now. Look at that, that's so beautiful. Even the bit where I put some orange on, just a lovely highlight. It's a lovely abstract in itself. I can't wait to start using this. And then last of all, this beautiful little flower one, which was just some flower lace that I had. Again, I bought a top at a car boot sale, and what I did was end up just using the lace. You see here, you can see it's not been pressed down enough. It's obviously, you've got to make sure you press it down so that the paper is actually touching the fabric. But look, isn't that lovely? So, I mean, again, you see what you've got is you've got this This is just fabric. You just reuse it and reuse it and reuse it for all different colours. I could wash this out now to get rid of the colours. Oh, and look, isn't that beautiful? Have fun. So if you liked it, please remember to like and subscribe. And you will be informed when the next video comes up. When I'm trying to develop this even further, I'm going to try it on different substrates. This is all paper. This is a really lovely one on paper again, and I'll show you how I did this going forward. But again, it produces some beautiful effects. And I can't wait to just search out for some really beautiful textures for these sort of things. Particularly this one as well. You know, we have fantastic opportunities with these, and all it is like getting to grips with the technique to develop it so that you can use it for what you want it for.